Doctor, how do I get my kids to eat healthy? It's a question I get asked often. Are you a parent who is also concerned about your children's eating habits? Or are you a parent who knows the importance of inculcating healthy eating habits in your children and are looking for tips to help you do better? If so, then this episode of the Habits Doctors Pharmacy podcast is for you. If you're new to my podcast, I am Dr. Chan, your podcast host. I'm a medical doctor from Singapore. My passion is in prescribing, teaching, and coaching people to change their lifestyle habits to better control chronic diseases. I have a mission, and that is to reach as many people as possible through this podcast to inspire them to take action, or at least take the first steps to unlock the tremendous power of lifestyle habits as medicine to prevent and combat diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other lifestyle related chronic diseases. By the end of this podcast episode, I hope you would get a new perspective into the why, what, and how of inculcating healthy eating habits in your children from young. So let's go. Let's start with the why. Why this is so important. And I want to share with you from my experience of having the privilege of conducting training and coaching programs for thousands of people to get them to change their eating habits to combat chronic diseases. I have lost count of the number of people who told me that they are unable or unwilling to change specific aspects of their eating habits that were obviously unhealthy, eating habits that were clearly contributing to their chronic medical conditions, because they don't think they can change, or worse, not willing to even contemplate or try to change or improve hardwired and ingrained eating habits that they have grown up with since young. Eating habits that they have gotten so used to over the years. Many of these people will say to me, Doctor, this is how my family had been eating all along for as long as I can remember. I have been eating this way since I was a kid. My parents, my siblings, they eat the same way too. So I don't think I can, and in fact, I am not sure I am even willing or want to change something that I have gotten so used to. So this is my biggest why I am so passionate to get parents to inculcate healthy eating habits in their children as best as they can from as early as possible. Because by the time their children become adults and start to develop common lifestyle related diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease, it would have become very difficult, albeit not impossible, to change those unhealthy eating habits that they have developed from young, because those would have already become so ingrained and hardwired. That is why I would like you to consider widening your perspective of what would constitute a healthy diet or a healthy eating habit for your kids, to go beyond having the basic needs of kids in having adequate nutrients for their growth, but to put as much emphasis and effort to inculcating in your children eating habits that they will take with them into adulthood and for the rest of their lives, and which will be a key determinant to their risk of developing chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease that are sadly and frighteningly getting very common in all countries around the world. In essence, what is important and healthy for a middle-aged adult in terms of eating habits to prevent and control chronic diseases is also just as important to be inculcated in children from young. So how do we do that? If what I have said so far resonated with you, here are the 3 things that I will urge you as a parent to consider doing for the good of your kids. They are not easy things to do, but I promise you, they are entirely possible and would possibly be one of the best gifts you can bless your children with. Number 1, walk the talk. Whatever that you want your kids to do, you must do them first. You must do them well. You must enjoy them. For example, having an eating habit full of healthy vegetables is one of the most universally accepted and scientific evidence supported eating pattern that is not just good for promoting health, but also in preventing and combating chronic diseases. But yet, having kids who love vegetables is a dream and also the biggest challenge of many, if not most parents. So if you are a parent, one of the best gifts that you can give your children is to have a habit of not just eating, but more importantly, loving vegetables. Because the way to get kids to eat and love vegetables is for them to see from as young as they are able to sit on their own and partake at the family dining table, always seeing their parents and siblings eating and loving vegetables. It is an uphill task, almost impossible, for parents who don't eat much vegetables to try to get their children to eat more vegetables. Because parents would have a higher chance of success in getting their children to eat and love vegetables by demonstration than by admonishment. It is not easy. I know many parents who have to resort to disguising, camouflaging, and hiding vegetables in their children's food just so as to get them to eat enough veggies. I have nothing against that. But may I suggest that the harder and better way is still to let your kids see, eat, and enjoy vegetables as they are, because that would be what would help them to continue to voluntarily choose to eat more and enjoy vegetables. So, if you want your children to eat healthy, do so yourself first. Influence them by your walk and not just your talk. Number two, make an effort to celebrate with healthy foods. On special occasions, whenever the family come together to celebrate over food, learn to celebrate with healthy foods. Birthdays, not just your children's birthdays, but everybody's birthdays, including yours. Christmas or other special occasions. Don't just celebrate with foods that you love, but to consciously choose to and learn to enjoy celebrating with foods that will also love you back in terms of healthfulness. Of course, that is easier said than done. And again, I agree that it is not easy. But when it comes to something so precious, something that would impact not just your health, but also the future health of your children, then making the effort to have a family tradition, to make your own unique family culture where your family celebrates with healthy foods is certainly something worth trying and trying until you succeed, no matter how hard it is and how long it would take. Number three, make the effort to consciously explore healthy recipes of foods that may over time become family favorite everyday foods. These dishes must not only be healthy, but they must also have the wow factor. From my experience coaching people to make dietary habits change, one of the greatest obstacles to change would be when their unhealthy dietary habits are centered and anchored on the unhealthy dishes that were their family favorites, that they have grown to enjoy together with their families regularly and frequently since young. These may be foods or dishes cooked by their parents or food that they frequently chose whenever they ate out as a family. Such family favorites or special family recipes or comfort foods, however obviously unhealthy, are the most difficult to get people to change or eat less of, even when they are facing a health crisis that makes it imperative for them to change their unhealthy eating habits. What I am suggesting that you attempt to do here is of course not easy. Most people's family favorite foods or family special recipes are not chosen or created for their healthfulness in mind. So it requires a decision and a lot of intentional effort to go explore foods or create healthy yet yummy recipes for the family that you hope will one day become family tradition, family recipes that your children will treasure and preserve even after you are gone, and which they will pass down to their own children and their children's children. So, these are my 3 tips for building healthy eating habits for your children. Walk the talk. Celebrate with healthy foods. Choose, create, and pass down healthy family recipes, healthy family favorite foods. I know this might not be what many of you were expecting when you chose to watch this video, because I have consciously chosen to define healthy eating habits for kids to be beyond just what is healthy and needed for them when they are young, but to also include what eating habits they would carry with them into their adulthood and which will affect their risk of developing the various common yet serious chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. I know what I am suggesting here is not something easy to do for most, if not everybody. But although it is not easy to do, I would still say it is not impossible, and that it is definitely worth the tremendous amount of effort and time that is going to be needed to achieve this. Regardless of whether you like or agree with what I suggested here, I hope that this video would nonetheless have offered you new perspectives and food for thought, and hopefully given you greater motivation to start taking action to improve your own eating habits. Because for those of us who are parents, having children is a great blessing and an even greater responsibility. Our own eating habits will be one of our most important legacy that we will leave for our children. And we have to make a choice about the kind of legacy we want to leave behind for them. Are we going to leave them a family food tradition and eating habits that will put them at higher risk of chronic diseases? Or will we be blessing them with a family food culture that prefers, chooses, and loves foods that will love them back and keep them in health? Let habits be thy medicine. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my sharing of my thoughts on this. It has been my privilege. I am Dr. Chan. Let's unlock the power of habits as medicine, one habit, one dose at a time. Take care.